and I'll explain how I got them, is very similar to nature. I'm sure in New Zealand there's a lot of nature out there, right? And if you've noticed, the nature, it pulls you into, say, a present state so strongly. That makes sense to you guys? Right? You can't get out of it, right? You go into nature, it just pulls you into the moment, and then that's where you start to see all the distortions that you have. That's why sometimes the jungle can drive you crazy. I've been in the Amazon. For those people, again, it pulls you into the present moment so strongly. You get to notice all the weaknesses that you have, so you can shed them. People who hold on to them, well, they go a little crazy because, well, it just magnifies everything that you are or you're not. So with this state, I pull you into the present moment so strongly that, and then I help you delete it in a proper way. So it's a little more potent than just being out, say, in raw jungle. But it's basically that. It's a present moment state where other modalities, NLP, hypnosis, and so on, they disconnect you and you go into, say, a different state. Right? And this way you're happier 24/7 rather than just that 1 or 2 hours that you're meditating or trying to get into a meditation. And notice those people who have a hard time meditating. Well, how did I push you into those meditative states? Right? I bypass your state of being, because your natural, say, abundant state is to be in that state all the time, and that's where you want to call it your blessings or abundance or money, fantastic relationships. All those things start naturally coming into you. By the way, that's your natural state to be. You're not born here to be suffering, to say, abuse yourself to help others. That never works out for many of you. That's what you guys do. You're really, really kind people from what I'm seeing. But it didn't help your parents any to be kind. It's not helping you to be kind. By the way, Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad never did that either. And they were very, very, very kind people. But they showed you how to be kind from a different perspective without losing your identity. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. It's a better platform to work out of rather than, say, abusing yourself to help other people. It doesn't work that way. By the way, how many people can you help that way? Not a lot. But if you were strong in helping people, basically you'd be the light that they'd be looking for. So I cover that subject because a lot of you abuse, distort, shortchange yourself to say, I'm a good person. And it's not working. It hasn't worked for your family. Think about it. Okay. There's a better way of doing it. Just to go a little deeper, again, Jesus, what did he do? He went out, he was gone for, what, 10 years or so? Missing years, right? Buddha went away. Muhammad went away. In fact, there's a lot of, say, tribal customs where they force their, when kids get into their puberty, they push them out alone. They live for 3 months, again, to identify who they are first. To identify who they are, absolutely. And then they come back, and they're an asset to society, and they really help individuals. That's where you want to be, right? Some strong individuals that can actually help you shift and transform people, right? And again, it's not my theory. It's worked throughout history. So how did I get here? Again, I'm a computer programmer by trade. So when I first had my abilities, the first one, well, let's step back a little bit. So before I had my first near-death experience, which was I crushed my jaws in a rail car accident. I was in a warehouse. I used to unload rail cars, and I'm not going to go into the details. You can go to the website, Sajady.com, and read it all, because I want to open it up to your questions. Okay? So before I had my near-death experience, and this is what makes me different, is that I was groomed to have that near-death experience. So all my life I was really searching for that one key answer, like Einstein. What he said is like, what's that one equation that answers all of life? Literally, I was searching for that all my life. So just like you know, I went towards religion. And by the way, I have nothing against religion. I studied, in fact, all the religions, all the famous religions, some not so famous religions, some spiritual movements, and so on like that. Again, there's nothing really wrong with that. But you know, for the major religions, you know, are you getting the same results as a Jesus, Buddha, or Muhammad? And I say that because, you know, especially the tragedy that happened last night. if you're not getting the same results as those individuals that created those religions, then just flat out, because I'm a bottoms line guy, I'm a programmer, it's not working for you. You're not doing it right. So you've been taught wrong. You do whatever, and again, it's nothing to do with your religion, but demand more of your religion to get the same results as the creators of those religions. Does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Don't follow blindly. That's where religion got askew. It's where everything gets askew, right? Again, like I said, and I stress it, if you're not getting the same results as those great individuals, then you're just doing it flat out wrong. The church is doing it wrong. Wherever you're going to, you're doing it wrong. It's just, again, it's just bottom line, like 1 + 1 = 2, right? If you're on a slippery slope, you slide off, you fall off. Does that make sense to you? There's no, well, I was a good person, I was a bad person. It's just straight out science. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. But I saw a lot of religious individuals back when I was younger, and they had a lot of problems. They're really, really nice people, but they still had addictions and so on like that. And you would think religion would, say, resolve that, because, again, those great individuals that created that, they had really good relationships. They had great everything about themselves. They were living in bliss. So obviously, that didn't work out for me. So I figured, well, you know, because you're a young kid, you want to become successful. You go, well, like many of you, like if I make a lot of money, then I'm going to be happy, I'm good to go. But like in today's reality, and I work with a lot of millionaires and billionaires, they still have the same issues as we do. In fact, their issues are magnified because the money didn't work out for them. And by the way, it's not that money is bad. Okay? Being poor is basically the same side of it. It's the same coin, just different sides. We still have issues. So it's not about, say, becoming successful, what I call, say, physical success. It's about having it all. That's what it's really all about. So that didn't work out for me. So I go, well, what is out there? And that's when I had my near-death experience. And that's where I learned about what it's all about. So that near-death experience, and I'm just going to run through it really quickly, was I had my jaws crushed. I started to separate my identity. So I call that, if you want to call it, your spirit body, which actually makes up 99% of who you are. Right? The 1% that you spend 100% of the time worrying about is your life here. Right? You don't have enough money, you're sick. What about my, I want, a better relationship, I want more money, my health is like this, what about my parents? All that stuff is literally 1% of your consciousness, your reality here. That's all you focus on. The other 99%, I found out, again, much grander. Right? As I separated myself, I saw my body hanging there from my neck, basically, and I'm going, wow, what am I doing there if I'm here? And then that instant, I realized that I had died. I was dead, and I had completely separated. But you think it'd be a tragic experience, but it was the most euphoric experience, because I was experiencing life from the 99%. Now imagine if you were operating even at 10, 15, or maybe 20% of your higher self in this reality, how grand life could be. Would that be cool? Think about your problems at that higher level. And if we have time, I might take you through that. If you could see yourself from a higher level perspective, what your life would be like. Okay? Because that is a possibility for you. So I realized, again, that that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that connection in human form to that 99%. By the way, that's what we're all looking for. No matter what you're doing, it's not about helping other people. It's not about saving the earth or anything like that. Although those things might help you find yourself, but it's that deeper connection to your higher self is what you're looking for. If you want to understand God, no matter what religion or spiritual movement that you're in, what is it about? About that connection. If you want to understand, again, a higher, say, I don't know, God or whatever you want to call it, to really understand that, you would have to understand that higher, deeper connection with yourself. Okay? So fast forward, the second near-death happened about 2006, 2007. It was a drowning accident. I was underwater. I was inner tubing with my kids, and we got into some really fast rapids. This was in Belize, and in Belize it's very porous. very volcanic, and they have holes that just in the riverbed, and they just like literally suck you into underwater caves and so on like that, and you're never found. Somehow I got sucked into those. I pushed my kids away. I got sucked into that tunnel, and I separated from my identity. I went through, I felt the coolness of the water. I went through the rocks and then ascended into this higher place. And again, this is what makes me different, is that tunnel of light that we all have heard about. Have you guys heard that tunnel of light that people go through? There literally is a tunnel of light. It's not just, your eyes disconnecting or whatever they say. It's brilliance around you all the time. It's quite amazing. There's 13 layers. Some of the first layers is like, well, I saw my loved ones. They introduced me to, into heaven, so to speak. Or, you have this layer where you have a life review. I did that in the first near death. But this time around, I actually graduated past the tunnel of light. So that tunnel of light is literally there to help you prepare or recondition your identity back into your real self. You're basically your spirit self, okay? Or your higher self. If you graduate, you're not supposed to come back. Somehow I graduated and I had a look around on that other side. And I had access to, say, all the information that's there. And I call that access. Well, at that level, let me just explain. So at that level, you really don't need anything. You don't need love, you don't need money, you don't need security, because, well, you are everything that you are. Right? You're totally complete. You are completeness. The amount of love that you feel at that level, if you multiply anything, any joyous experience that you've had by about 1,000,000 times, that's the amount of love, and it's just pure, raw love. It's not conditional love like we have here. It's just straight out love. It's quite fantastic, by the way. But you still have that identity of being in human form. I managed to escape that as well, because your spirit has no identity whatsoever. So I managed to come into, say, what felt like just your whole universe of your own. It was quite amazing. At that level, you also have to be that. To be at that level, you have to have access to everything that you're not. So I call it a universal database. So you have access to all the knowledge that ever was, is, and shall be. Does that make sense to you guys? It's all there for you to understand that you're not all that. You're part of all that. Right? That's why you're that grandness. And again, very, very joyous, very, very beautiful. Somehow, I've managed to, say, pull that identity or that reality of who we are and funnel it into, say, a physical being. And that's where I'm here today. So it took me about 3-4 years. I've gone through, say, what I call now detox for people. Many of you might detox after this session, even if you do nothing else with me. And that detox is basically letting go of your old identity of who you think you are as your new identity comes in. Okay? I went through some intense detox, and Jesus went through the same thing. Dark nights of the soul. I'm sure you've read about that. Right? Buddha went through the same thing. A lot of great inventors, all those individuals, Einstein, Tesla, they all went through those things as well. Many of you that I've worked on have gone through dark nights of the soul. Again, it's about releasing who you think you are into a higher version of yourself. It's like shedding your old skin. So it's kind of a death experience. Okay? The one thing to note, the harder you hold on to that old skin, the more painful it gets for you, because you can't hold on. Once you're awakened, you just want to get to that higher level of yourself. Right? You can't hold yourself back. It just becomes more painful if you do. Okay? So I've been here. So it took me about 4 years. So about 2011, I started working on people, and it wasn't intentional. It's like, hey, I don't know what else to do. I'm going to be a healer or whatever. It wasn't like that at all. I was just getting drawn into helping people because I could see what was going on with people. The first person was my wife at the time. She used to get severe headaches, and then one day I go, let me just work on you. I didn't even know what that meant. I wrapped my head around her. I wrapped my hands around her head, and before I even touched her, her headache was like completely gone. And she would get like massive, like prescription drug type headaches. So, which I thought was kind of cool because I didn't know what that was. And then, I'd work on my kids and friends, relatives, and word grew. And 2011, I started doing it as a business, and I never looked back, actually. This is 2019. I've worked on, 50, 60, or maybe more, close to 100,000 people. It's really, some fantastic results. You can look at it on the website. Some of my abilities, I can scan you. Okay? I can scan through you, so if you tell me, oh, your son, I don't need to know their name or anything like that. I can scan them, see what their programming is, and not just like, I don't have psychic abilities, by the way. This is very different than a psychic ability. I can go back into your records and literally, just like a computer programming, it's like I can go back into your, say, source code and go, okay, this is the time frame that you kind of got messed up. This is the program that you're running. Let's help you, say, edit or change that. It's literally that quick. Makes sense? Some of you who worked with me before, it's literally that fast, although it takes, say, physical time for your life to change, but at a spirit level, you've changed. I'm not a doctor in any way, but I've helped people cure themselves. The key word is curing themselves. Because no healing can happen if you aren't awakened. No matter if you go to the best doctor, the best surgeon, the best whatever, the best psychologist, the best money maker, the best relationship expert, if you can't, say, awaken your own healing abilities, no matter what you do, won't work. It just won't work. Okay? Or you get the same problem over and over again, or you get a different rendition, different flavor of that problem wrapped up some other way for you. So what I do is literally, in a nutshell, I awaken your own natural self, that 99% that I talked about. As soon as that comes in, well, you start to naturally heal or come into your space. That makes sense to you guys? I know I talked really fast. Do you guys have any questions? And those people who are new, it'd be fantastic. And if you want to come up, I can work on you and tell you what issues you have. Yeah, you seem like really happy to come on. No, it's the jumpy one. How are you doing?
Good.
You want to stand up on stage? Just, do you mind if I touch you back here? If there's anything special with you, or I could just read you, whichever way. It doesn't really matter. And again, I'm not pushing her or guiding her. So as I'm working on, say, her, the people who resonate with the same pattern, even if I don't say anything, I'll be working on you as well. Makes sense to you? So you tend to worry a lot. You hold on to, say, you have a lot of, say, mother type frequencies. Makes sense to you? Right here. So you're always a mother to everybody, even, say, your intimate relationships or your husband, if you have a husband. Do you have two husbands? Or?
Yeah, he's over.
Well, anyway, the two husbands that you had, or whatever that relationship, and maybe two prior relationships that you had before that, they all feel like the same person. But basically what happens to you is all relationships turn in where you start to be a mothering person, and that destroys your sense of self. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So with that pattern, just think of it. If you're always a mother to somebody, you're always like nurturing, and you never nurture yourself. So, and that's the issue, right? And that's why no matter what you do, say you may get a ton of money, you'd never feel, say, nurtured with it. Does that make sense to you? Say you had the perfect relationship, you'd never feel completely nurtured because you can't. It's not about the physical things here. So let's help you release that pattern, and you have a lot of stuff going on in this area. Did your mother lose some babies? Or did you? Yeah, or both. So even that, if you don't mind. So she's lost a couple, seems like two, almost three. Her mom lost a couple. So that seems to run in a pattern. Just again, just like hair color, eye color. For some reason, whether it's an abortion or the baby didn't make it, whatever it is, you have to lose, say, a few pregnancies if you're in this family pattern. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
So that's your programming. So again, just like your hair color, eye color, that's one of her programmings. The mother type issues that we talked about, that's one of her programmings. So no matter what you do, if you don't delete that pattern, you're going to run into a situation where, again, you lose kids or do whatever, like she does. And then it causes issues here. And then if you have daughters, well, you just continue on that pattern. So, anyway, let's have to remove that for you. How are you feeling?
Great.
How's your midsection? And you seem to be a favorite of your grandma? Was that? Yeah. So, again, a favorite of her grandma. So what does that mean? It sounds really loving, but basically, grandma's templates wrapped around her. So she'll feel or age faster because it's grandma's template. Grandma is older than her. Does that make sense? And now it's wrapped around her, especially now grandma's gone. So what happens is that she starts to age faster because she's running grandma's templates. Does that make sense to how programming works? Again, it's not about emotions. It's not about being a good person or a bad person. It's about just programming. So let's help grandma's templates out of there as well. You may even talk to grandma sometimes. You know what I say. Make sense? Yeah. So again, she talks to grandma. Not that she wants to talk to grandma, although we might think it's grandma. It's literally like grandma hangs out with her, or her pattern hangs out with her, so she thinks grandma's around.
Yes.
So, thanks. Anybody else that's new? Yeah, that guy. Here. Yeah. Striped shirt. How you doing, buddy? Anything special that you want to work on, like maybe double identities that you have? Like double identity? You're always beside yourself. That makes sense to you? You can't really make a decision. You're always waiting for somebody else to make a decision. That makes sense to you? Yeah. So that's why we would call it double identity. But by the way, I'm just, as a guy, it's not attractive to women if they're always making a decision, because after a while, they become, because women want to feel secure that their man is going to say protect them. But if you're always like waiting for them to make a decision, they feel more masculine, and then you lose your masculinity. That makes sense over time. So, anyway, let's help you say recondition that. So there's nothing wrong with a guy being sensitive, but then there has to be, you can't cross that border. Does that make sense? And then it just seems like you come from a, I want to say an overly possessive type mother or female family version. That makes sense to you? Yeah. And again, I'm not cutting down family structure, but say your mom was like overly loving, right? You go, oh wow, mom was really overly loving. And that might feel really good to you, but basically her frequencies wrap around him the way I see it, and literally start to smother him over time. So as his mom gets older and older, her frequencies will literally get tighter and tighter, and he'll start resonating like, or he'll start feeling like his mom as she gets older. That makes sense to you? And then you get to worry. It's like, wow, I wonder why mom is like this, or the illnesses that mom has, you'll start to say parallel.
But doesn't it make the mother like a vampire?
There's a difference. His mother is not a vampire. It's just that his mother is like so unsure or fearful. Does that make sense? Yeah. She wants to make sure that he's safe. So she's running her insecurities upon you. But then what she's actually doing from my perspective, because I see pattern. So when I look at you, by the way, I see your physical form, but I see your underlying program on how you operate. Right? So when I see this other pattern around him, which is his mother, trying to keep him safe. But in reality, what she's doing is that she's anchoring herself on him. And then, like I said, as she passes over, she won't cross over because she's too afraid of meeting her maker, so to speak, because she thinks that she's always doing something wrong. So those types of people, and again, certain type of religion, right? You're born in sin, you live in sin, you know. And most people think that they're not good enough to meet their Maker. They would rather stay down here than get, say, punished or go to hell. Whether it's true or not, I'm not here to discuss it. But if you're fearful, basically she'll hide out in you. Make sense? And to prove it to you, after this session, your mom will probably call. Your mom will probably be worried about you. Your mom will make an excuse because she's overly nice. She won't be abrasive to you, but she'll make you feel guilty for not visiting her, or she'll get ill. It's like, oh gosh, I'm ill, you need to come. And then what do? As a kid? It's like, I'm a good kid. I need to go help my mom, right? You open up your frequencies, and then she reattaches. I'm not saying not to go help your mom, but just like be aware of your body, especially like this back area. You'll see her and other people as well. Is that your girlfriend? Friend?
Yeah.
So your friend, she actually senses. She actually gets like pulled into you somehow. Does that make sense? And she stops herself because she's aware of what happens. So she's really a nice person. But she won't do that. Although other girlfriends and so on, they will just latch onto you like that and then destroy you. Like one or two other relationships.
Thank you.
Other? I'm sorry.
Excuse me now. Were you born in Afghanistan? Is that
I was?
where you were born?
Yeah.
Afghanistan?
Mhm.
Do you
What?
want to announce what you have?
Yeah, we'll take one more person.
Oh, we can do one more.
Yeah, I'll just announce. But that's the way this would work. And that's tonight at 7:30?
It's tonight.
Yeah, it's tonight at 7:30. And then 18th through the 22nd, I'll be in Queenstown. And then March 23rd, I'll be back here in Christchurch, which is the source code activation. Okay?
And 3:30 now.
Oh, at 3:30? Yeah, 3:30, by the way. We have a free meta healing. So what we did here, but about 20 minutes, you meditate with me with about, say, 500 to 700 other people. That's online throughout the world. Okay, so it gets pretty powerful. And it's an advanced class, so if you're new to frequencies, just note that you might get a little distorted, it just helps you change faster. Okay, she's got information on that, or you can come to my booth. Does anybody else that's new? And we'll do it a little quicker. Okay. Let's work on your lower back. Okay. You have lower back issues,
Yeah.
or your mother has lower back issues. Seems like your family has lower back issues. So again, you might think, well, I have lower back issues, but then that pattern, it's not just about lower back issues. Although I'm not a doctor, but it just seems like your bone structure seems to be like chalky to me. So as you age, your bone literally starts to crumble. Okay. So I would take a look at like a fat diet or a keto diet. Again, oh, wonderful. So you're on the right track. Maybe you might have taken like too many sugars or carbs or even too many fruits in the past, which like literally robbed your bone structure. And that's not just your bone structure, it's like your nervous system and so on like that. It's really frail, or the sheathing around your nerves, and that's why you might get tingly things, or just strange movements in your hand. That's why, because your nerves are like short-circuiting. That makes sense to you? So, again, not a doctor, but I would stop eating sugars completely.
Okay.
Especially modified sugars. Anything that comes from the U.S. And I am from the U.S. It's got the worst food, unfortunately. Talking about that, you need to be home. Where do you live? You live here?
I live here, but I'm not original.
Okay, where do you live? Where were you originally?
Chile.
Chile?
Yeah.
So you need foods or ingredients or nutrients from Chile.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Otherwise, you'll never feel at home.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? You never feel at home. So say that if you're into an intimate relationship, over a short time, they might comfort you, but then over a short time, it's like, gosh, I don't feel complete. I don't know what's wrong. They're a perfect person for me, but then why can't I feel complete with that person? Does that make sense to you? All your relationships, all your employment, well, pretty much everything, even your connection to God. It's like, well, why am I? Because you need to go back home and literally, I would just import some dirt. I know it just sounds weird, but just import some dirt and just meditate with it from Chile. I don't know why, but some people need the nutrition from Chile. You know what I'm saying? Or import some foods.
Yeah.
But that's, I would go back and, if you live there for about a month or two, some of your nervous problems, some of the other problems, maybe the mental fogginess that you have and all that, start to disappear. And then if you do work with me, I can get you set on track to go forward in life, because you just seem like you're stuck. Yeah. That stuckness, you have to resolve what I told you about first, and then you can go forward. No matter what you do, you'll never go forward if you don't resolve that first, because that's your most important item. So it's up to you. Yeah, you can't even have relationships with them.
Okay.
Can I make an announcement?
Yeah.
So the office just we have an event tomorrow night. It's a private event. You work with Moss for about 3 hours. It's a private. We'll only have one space left. If you would like, you can come talk to me. It's $900, I think, New Zealand dollar per person. That's tomorrow night. But however, tonight's session is also, I've been working with Moss for 3 hours, but it's a group event. It's $39. You need to buy tickets here downstairs. So that's tonight is $39. Tomorrow is $900. Only have one space left tomorrow. Tonight we'll have a few. So, and at 3:30 at our booth, it's the free meditation.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And also we have lots of activities in Queenstown. And also next Saturday is Christchurch. We're back here so if you need any information, please come see me.
She's Faye, by the way. She's she runs the rest of the company. So I can just stand here and do what I do best. So, thanks, sweetie. Anybody else? Anybody that doesn't believe in what I do? Is anybody? No, I can tell. I can tell if you believe or not. I probably know more stuff about you than you do.
I've just got a question.
Of course.
So I'm a twin.
Mhm.
Another 5 siblings, and I've been doing the 21-day Medi healings and
Yeah.
PRGs. As I start to clear, does that automatically clear through the twin?
Right. So what she asked, she's a twin. She's got 5 siblings. She's doing the 21-day program, which we're going to do a sample of down at the booth. And she's starting to say, well, just to read you, you're starting to identify who you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yes, your siblings are close to you. Does that make sense? Maybe not in connection,
Right.
but if you have a problem, they have a problem.
Sure.
Does that make sense to you? Right? So you circulate your issues or problems. So yes, so you separate. So as you separate them, they get a little distorted as they come into balance on their own rather than holding on to each other.
Because I feel like I'm pushing away of the rest of the family.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
separation.
Yeah.
So because now I see you as a glob, just as a group. Whatever happens to them happens to you and vice versa. So now you're separating yourself and you're like going, it's not like you disconnect from them. It's just that you run the same path, separate. So their distortions don't become yours. Because if you want to become, say, successful, all 6 of you will have to become successful for you to maintain success. Or if you want to become happy in a relationship, all 6 of you would have to run happy relationship patterns. Does that make sense?
And with my brother, because he's actually lived with this for the last 2 years.
Yeah, he'll start to lose his identity for a bit because his identity was your identity. We'll take one more person. The lady in the orange and black. Yeah. These are nice colors in it. So, where are you from? Oh, okay. So the reason why I asked is that you have a lot of like superstition and stuff that runs in your family? Does that make sense to you? A lot of cultural patterns. Yeah, so I would call it superstition. So a lot of dogmas, a lot of belief systems, right? You know, in the U.S. or say in the Eastern type countries, you know, we would call it religion. Hers would be more say cultural type, or what I would call. Both of them are basically superstitious type. They're not say validated. So let's help you change that. And then you're very intuitive. Does that make sense to you? But that intuition costs you, for example. So, and even, again, be mindful of your intuition. And even Jesus said, anybody can heal you, but use the healing powers, he said, of God, and use a pure source. So whenever you use your intuition, you become more and more mentally unstable. That makes sense? So if you look at your family lineage, your elders, they kind of get zoned out as they age. So they're there, but you see them, but they're not really there. Does that make sense to you? They just like disappear. You'll see, oh, grandma's there, but she's not coherent in a space. Or we become, again, more mentally unstable. So that comes not from like biological type issues or anything like that. Literally, the more you use your, say, abilities, your intuitive abilities, the more, say, distorted you get. This is where, you know, like the bigger version of this pattern is like, say, the Kennedys, the Rothschilds, so on like that, right? They want massive wealth or massive, she doesn't want massive wealth or anything like that, but she wants to help people. She's helping people from a distorted version because she abuses herself as she helps people. Literally, the more people you help, the more destroyed that you become. It's the strangest thing, but that's the pattern that we want. Okay? So basically, it costs her mental fortitude or mental capacity. So let's just finish it up, and then we have to run. So thanks for being here. How do you feel? Like a release? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's all that birdie. Yeah, that's just a walk.